From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Napzok, and I'm very, very, very excited to bring a special guest on the show. She is a great author. You might have known her from her horror fiction series, the Asylum series, many other things, but she's here full force in the Star Wars world. Finally, with Star Wars Legacy, I'm holding the nice book for the audio listeners here. Audio listeners, little book ASMR. This comes out July 28th, a story of Leia and Rey maybe learning how to get along together, learning how to work with each other. They're not at odds. They just kind of are in a weird spot following the events of The Last Jedi. We got someone learning maybe to be a Jedi, maybe got to rebuild a lightsaber. We got someone learning to maybe be a teacher, even though she's been a leader. This is a different capacity for Leia. It's Leia and Rey and story of First Order and some rebellion going on the planet of Tython. There you go. But that's kind of it in terms of, we're going to talk about the book because I want you all to read this book. This is kind of a spoiler-free to spoiler-adjacent interview with this wonderful author who is also, I will say, I will disclose, a friend of mine. In fact, at the end of this book, she reminded me, legally, maybe I have to say at the end of the book, my name is the accomplishments, which is one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. Please welcome to the show, Madeleine Roux. Hey, Maddie.
Hi. I bribed my way on.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. That's it. No, I did want to talk up front. I want the ForceCenter audience really to get to know you as a Star Wars fan too here before we talk about stuff going on in the book. But yeah, that's part of it. We used to live in SoCal for a little bit. You aren't now, and so we kind of ran in the same circles. We're friends, and threw back drinks and fried pickles at local bars. And you moved up to another location. But the trivia I want to start with is my first seconds ever at a Star Wars celebration, 2015 Anaheim, were spent with you because we drove down together.
Yes, yes, we did. That was mine too. That was my first celebration. I have genuinely such incredibly fond memories of that. Yeah, it was crazy. It was so cool. It's so cool. This feels so full circle. I mean, you know why you're in the back. I feel like you and Maud having me on your show 1,000 years ago was sort of like, I don't know, it was like validation that I was on the right hunt to try to be writing this stuff. So
yeah, and for those that we won't speak just an inside baseball talk here, but yeah, Maud Garrett and I, of course, had Jedi Alliance going back in 2014, and we brought you on. You were already an established, successful author. Let's be clear; it wasn't like we were bringing some rookie on. But you came on and you wrote like a kind of a Star Wars, story, and we had the great Roger Craig Smith read it live on air.
Unbelievable! I still pinch myself when I think about that. It's so crazy. It was so fun.
But from that, you are here with a full-on Star Wars novel. We also will talk at some point. It will come into the conversation. Your great short story, Eclipse, and the first from a certain point of view, which is that's how a lot of probably the ForceCenter audience knows your name from my mouth. Is that's one of my favorite pieces of Star Wars writing that made me cry, still makes me cry, and is just a beautiful piece of work on two characters we don't spend a lot of time with. We have a lot more with Bail now, and we thankfully have a lot more with Brea in these Obi-Wan Kenobi series, but that haunting piece of Star Wars literature is also factoring in our conversation today. But I want to go to the start of your Star Wars journey. Kind of when did your love of Star Wars first find you?
Sure. I've told this story a few times now on these podcasts, but it's the truth, so I'm just going to keep telling it. I my specific cocktail of mental disabilities means I have like a really. Are we swearing on this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. We have really, ForceCenter's like we're one drink swearers. We don't go two drink swearers.
Oh, okay. So I have like a really dog ass memory, like long term memory, terrible, nothing. But my like first memory, you know how you sort of have implanted memories from like seeing pictures of yourself as a kid or like stories that your family will tell about you. So I have those, but my first like I know this is coming from my brain is watching Star Wars. Like I remember we had these like built-ins in my house and this giant clunky 80s television box television with a VHS. And but it was kind of like elevated and I would stand in front of it, like, 5, 6, 7, 8 and up, just like watching, like, like staring up like, ooh. And I just would watch it I would watch Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi just on repeat,
Yeah.
on repeat, and just like fast forward around to my favorite parts. And then I realized, like a decade later, I've like barely seen A New Hope. And so I watched it a bunch eventually, but I did because like Leia's barely in it, and I was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I'm here for my girl. Like, this is not enough of her, and I
Yeah.
need her. So, yeah, it
That's
started a lifelong obsession with Star Wars, but also with Carrie Fisher, who became sort of a personal North Star.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, so that's it. That's like some of my first memories as a person
Or
are
Star Wars.
watching Star Wars.
Side question: was anyone in your family concerned that the Poltergeist girl was watching Star Wars at the TV that close?
They were a little like, you could just like sit on the couch or, get comfy.
She keeps saying they're here, but it turns out it's the Ewoks. It turns out that's what's here.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to make reference to that because, like I said, I'm trying to keep details free in this book. We'll talk about some themes and stuff about the characters, and I definitely want to get to your love of Leia and Carrie Fisher and all that. But one of the early references in this book is a bit of a teak reference. I see that teak, and having the benefit of knowing you, I know that not only are Ewoks big to you, but you really love the Ewok movies as well. And I remember attending an Ewok birthday party.
I do. You can't see her, but Nisa's on the back of my arm in my Ladies of Star Wars tattoo sleeve. Yeah, I don't know. I love, again, because I fell in love with the movie so young, and like the Ewok village, I guess as a child who played in the woods constantly, I was like, why can't I have that? And why can't they be my friends? And I just have like a deep fondness for those movies. I think obviously they're corny as hell, but like, I don't know, there's like a heart to them, and the world building is so fun. Like, that's what I love is Endor. Everyone associates it with like this cuddly teddy bear picnic stuff, but like, it's actually horrifying and full of dangerous stuff, and kind of the Australia of the galaxy. Like, they're like, everything's trying to kill you, and there's mysticism. There's like the Wisties. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just was like, this is cool. I love that this moon that you almost have nothing of in the main storyline has all this like rich lore. And so of course I had to, I did float at one point trying to set this book on Endor.
Oh,
like,
wow.
We just did that. I was like, damn it. So I had to find a way to get my little Endor reference in.
Tython will do, but it could have been Bright Tree Village. Could have been that.
know.
But we stand the Ewoks here. We definitely, Joseph and I are from a generation that maybe, had a weird relationship with the Ewoks early on. But Jennifer here on this channel has absolutely carried that love forward and made Joseph and I not come around because we enjoyed it. I love Return of the Jedi, but yeah, just you're right. The world building, once you learn more, it isn't just about the jokes of they eat stormtroopers and wanted to cook Han. It is this world like Chirpa. I've pitched for years. I don't have the skills you have, Maddie, but I've pitched for years a Rise of Chief Chirpa story. I want
Incredible.
a Game of Thrones like story of Chirpa's rise to the crown. Nisa being the next in line. There's all these things that are there, and it's because of those movies and the stories. I think
I'm for it. There's a little. I play Star Wars: The Old Republic still to this day.
nice.
Since beta founder, you know what's up, and they added a little Ewok companion. Treek, and she is like bloodthirsty and a total badass, and I was like, thank you, because this is who they are. Like, I love that they really leaned into the fact that like that's a really brutal place actually, and you got to be pretty tough to survive on Endor.
Did you perhaps swing through the 2017 Battlefront 2 game where they added the Ewok hunt mode? Yeah.
Oh, I loved it.
Terrifying.
Couldn't get enough.
Yeah. When you're playing as a stormtrooper, for those that don't know, you could either be a stormtrooper trying to get out of Endor at the end of the Battle of Endor, or you're an Ewok.
Like extracting.
Yeah, and you're in the darkness, and all you hear is
not to be dinner.
And you're like, oh, the Ewoks are coming, they're gonna eat me.
Oh, it was delightful. It was delightful. Yeah. I think that's why I love them so much. I feel the two wolves inside me are like whimsy and horror. So I don't know. There's something about them that's like the perfect meeting of the two.
Yeah, because even Wisties are pretty magical, mythical,
Yeah.
but also maybe used as weapons in the video games. So not something I want to play with. You mentioned early on, absolutely, not only just the character of Princess Leia turned General Leia, but Carrie Fisher herself. Just one of our, first of all, one of our great losses still, but also just one of our great personalities who was so open and honest and brought so much to not just the character but to the fandom. I want to start there and maybe ask about what the character of Leia meant to you personally. And sub question is: have you found new ways to connect with this character as time has gone on and the Star Wars saga has gone on? Like I have that with Han. Han's my guy, but all of a sudden I learned more about Han later on, where I wanted to be the cool guy, but I learned about who I really was through Han. Have you had that experience with Leia? And let's go to the beginning of your Leia journey too.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, as a kid, it was just sort of the first time I saw a character on screen that I was like, oh yeah, this is, where was this? let's have more of that. Oh, I love that. And and then it was, I don't know, it was like the combination of her being so competent, but also so, I don't know, just like confident in who she was and fearless. And yeah, I don't know. It just, as someone who's like grew up with older brothers and it kind of
Mm,
always was like a tomboy and sort of like in that more mode, I was like, yeah, I'm usually the one like rolling with like like my brother's friends, but somehow like being the boss. And so it just, I don't know, kind of instantaneously she called to
yeah.
me. And then I think, like I'm going to be honest, I had a fallow period with Star Wars. I bounced off of the prequels pretty hard,
Mm,
and
mm-hmm.
it really wasn't until I got my hands on Knights of the Old Republic that I was like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
I love this. Actually, I'm so back. And so
Right.
once I got roped back into it, it was like, okay, now I can like, I want to go back. I want to like, watch all the movies again. I want to sort of like fall back in love with this. But that
Mm,
also coincided with like so much of Carrie Fisher's other work was now like in the zeitgeist, right?
yeah.
Her appearance on 30 Rock is still some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen in my life. And
Absolutely.
she's an incredible writer. She's just an incredible writer and so honest and so vulnerable. And I think that has always been what drew me to her, is that she's so talented and so committed to her craft, but is also just does not take herself that seriously. And
Mm-hmm.
I think she's such a great mentor
Mm-hmm.
to female writers in that sense. She's so unflinching about the Star Wars experience. I had the Princess Diaries just like on my desk the entire time I was working on this, because I
Oh,
I had like a few of her books actually, but I would just like read her books as I would like get ready to write for the day in her perspective, because I just wanted her voice
mm,
like in my head.
mm.
There's actually a line from the Princess Diaries that Leia says in the book. I just was like, I
Ooh.
can't say it better. So
Ooh, I
I'll
didn't. I
just
didn't.
have,
I didn't pick. I've obviously read the Princess Diaries. I didn't pick up
yeah.
that Easter egg. I'm going
It's
to go back and
subtle.
hunt.
It's subtle, but it is like almost like verbatim something she says. And
Wow.
I just was like, if I'm going to do this right, I want to have her language and her spirit and her vibe like close to me. So,
Yeah.
but then, suddenly there was like this treasure trove of great Leia stuff. You've got like Claudia Gray, doing an incredible job. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I loved seeing her as an older woman. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's like, oh, finally.
Mm-hmm.
And I just loved the way they costumed her. It was so powerful, and so it had left such an impression on me. And
Mm,
yeah, I fell in love with her all over again in the sequel trilogy, because
mm.
it's like you just don't get a lot of characters like that. I mean, now we have some great ones, like Mon Mothma now is another like
Yeah.
iconic older woman of Star Wars,
Right.
and Fennec Shand and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. I loved seeing her as like a complete person. and and having gone through a lot of, I mean, it's so interesting because like, I wrote Eclipse like 100 years ago, and I feel
Mm,
like I'm a completely different person now. And
mm.
so I really tried to channel that into Leia, this sense of like scope of a lifetime of
Nice.
reflection of sort of like, I'm not who I used to be, and that's okay. And this
Yeah.
is who I am now, and I have to like meet myself at my sort of like limitations in a sense, because she can't be like, that was one of the difficulties of this book, is that she can't be like a gallivanting,
Mm,
holding her own in like heavily like combat arenas. Like we have to be very strategic and precise about what sort of scenarios you're putting her in. So it's an older, more reflective Leia, and I think that fit me very well because it just felt like, okay, I'm like a woman who has like turned 40. Now it's time to maybe like have my own reflective period through this character.
That's great. Yeah, Leia's not going to be combat Poncho Leia the entire time, right?
Nope.
You got to grow this character, and I love what you're saying about, hey, I wrote that story then, I'm different now, and that's what I am thankful for. Obviously, with the time we get to spend with Leia in this book, but also just getting to watch this character get older, be older, have some doubts, have her and Han have some troubles, and we can all learn from that. And that is so Leia, right? Because Carrie Fisher will make the jokes about, I look in a mirror, I owe George $2, which are great jokes, but I can't. To me, it's never been a more perfect mixture of human and character. I was blessed to moderate a panel of hers, unfortunately, a couple months before she passed.
So jealous! I never got to meet her.
I got to feed Gary on the couch, Gary the dog. It was amazing. My life. But to watch her tell the stories she's told before, make the jokes, and she obviously was quick-witted all the way through it. But when we open up for audiences, you had some Star Wars questions. You had some, why did you do this? And then you had young girls, one standing with her service dog, her emotional support dog, talking about, hey, I'm dealing at like 10 or 11 with some of the stuff you are, and that's important to me, and I just wanted to describe that, and Carrie brought her up on stage for a hug. It's like, that's Leia in the flesh.
Yeah.
That's what the character is.
And because, she was so upfront about her addiction struggles, her mental health struggles, which is something I try to do too. I try to be very upfront about what the hardwire I'm working with. And that was also perfect because maybe that's not Leia's situation, but I very much channeled some of that into Rey. And so to have sort of like this pseudo mother figure in place with sort of the spirit of Carrie about, and then Rey struggling with, like, I would say much more on its face sort of mental health issues. That felt like a good fit.
Indeed. And talking about Rey, I want to go back to, I say 2015, but also, let's be honest, 2014, when the character first kind of emerged in trailers. What has the character of Rey meant to you and represented to you from then till now?
Yeah, well, I cried when I talked about this on the last podcast I recorded, so I'm going to do my best.
Perfect.
I do my best to hold it together.
I'm just going to stare at you and just nod until you cry.
Great. It's fine. There's just something about the shot of her in the opening sequence when she is sitting outside of her dilapidated house and she puts the helmet on and she looks up at the sky, and I was like, oh no. Yeah. I know this person. It's me. I was just like a very bedroom child. I was a lonely kid, not because like I had like a bad, like not because my siblings were rotten or like I didn't have friends, but I was an undiagnosed, severely neurodivergent child who was like precocious and curious and reading far above, her grade level. And I spent a lot of time alone. And so seeing her like that, I was sort of just an instantaneous connection. And then obviously there's this feeling that you've been waiting forever to see her spark up the lightsaber. And it just was like, oh my God, it like finally, it just was like this catharsis that I needed, and I remember just being a mess at the end of that movie. Because it just meant so much. It's just like, that really does matter to see yourself that way. And the Star Wars has always meant so much to me, and it informed my sense of like narrative and dreaming and possibility and magic and whimsy to such a strong degree. So to see her like become a part of that and be part of that magic was like very affecting. And so I tried to draw on that instantaneous feeling of like, oh, I know this person. I recognize something in this person. And I feel like it gets a little lost in the movies that she is this like not abandoned, but like she is this like abandoned person who spent a ton of her life on her own. That is so damaging. That is so serious. Like early childhood connection to a family is so critical for everything. And so I just really wanted to like pull it back to, hey, remember this girl sitting outside her cobbled together house by like all on her lonesome, just fighting her way through life and making it work and being resourceful, like her against the world sort of. I just wanted to like swivel the camera back a little bit because the sequence of the two movies of Force Awakens and The Last Jedi are so fast. They're just back to back. There's like no chance to take a breath. And her life is upended in so many ways.
Right.
And she meets so many people who die and then like, or are no longer there. And it's like, okay, what now? And that's kind of where I wanted to stop and actually have this book be a chance for her to like take a breath and think about and process everything that just happened.
It's very effective. You have a lot of, it's not just references, it's not just Easter eggs. You have a lot of emotional callbacks to that empty AT-AT, as I still say, because I'm Gen X, AT-AT versus AT-AT. It's emotional callbacks to the beginning of it all. And that's going to affect her going forward always, right?
Yeah, I use it as sort of the backdrop of her emotional landscape, right? In the sense that like we all maybe have like a place we retreat to in our heads that's hers, right? That this is sort of her like dark room that she goes to. And it was important to me to use that imagery because obviously you can call it to mind easily if you've seen the movies. And I wanted to expand on it in the sense of like what a prison it is for her mentally. But also a refuge, which like, Jungian shadow work in your Star Wars, it's more likely than you'd think. It's like the whole premise. So
you're speaking truth too. I mean, I just wrapped a very successful therapy session yesterday where most of the conversation was about 1982, not my present day. Just like where a lot of the emotional programming and hardwiring begins. And I love how you're referring to it as it can be a little bit of a dark shadow, a prison that you might return to or be caught in or need to understand still. And it's also a part of you. It's also who you are.
Yeah. And that's like, I'm going to word this carefully. I find some of the reviews very confusing because I think the thesis of this book is stated very clearly at a certain point towards the end. And it is what I set out to achieve. And I think I accomplish it. But yeah, there is a point at which an ancient, long dead Jedi Master just kind of turns and tells you why. It's like, is that the name of this show? Like that kind of level of, hey, wait, like, hey, this is what we're talking about.
We might talk a little bit more about some of, not the specifics, but some of the stuff that's going on there. But I want to transition into some of that book talk. And like I said, we're trying to keep these as non-spoiler as possible. The book comes out, if you're watching this, the week of the release, comes out July 28th here in a little bit.
And if you're going to Comic-Con, we'll have it on sale there a bit early. So.
Oh, nice. Okay. I will be there.
With the fancy new jacket and...
Saw that. We're going to talk about just the thrill of writing Star Wars in a bit here, but you're kind of leading me into where I wanted to go of these two characters. And I think as advertised, the book is to me a story of Leia and Rey and finding footing at this exact point in their timeline and the Star Wars timeline. And it paid off for me because I got to spend so much time with them in this book. I was really blown away by that.
Yeah, I really think of it as sort of like, if you're coming for like info dumps, you will probably leave disappointed. But if you're coming for like an emotional scaffolding between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, you may be very pleased because that is what I was interested in, is sort of like the Rey we see at the beginning of The Rise of Skywalker is not the Rey we see at the end of The Last Jedi. Can I reconcile those two beings and make that feel like a seamless transition?
Yeah, and I love the phrase emotional scaffolding. That's actually a great way to say it. And I wanted to talk a little bit about coming out of the story of The Last Jedi. You as an author sitting down with these characters that you know well, but are learning more things about, especially as you start to write from inside their souls. What is Leia's biggest obstacle coming out of The Last Jedi into kind of this story with Rey?
I think, so Rebecca Roanhorse's book has a very brief conversation between Rey and Leia right at the beginning, where you
Mm-hmm.
can kind of feel the tension a little bit. I mean, they're being kind to each other, but they're not sort of like super warm in the way that they are with each other in The Rise of Skywalker. And
Mm-hmm.
the conversation to me was one of those things where I was like, oh my God, here we go. They're going to talk about the Ben of it all. And it does not come up. Or it comes up in the sense of Rey's like, I fought him and I
Yeah.
couldn't bring him back to the light. I'm so sorry. And Leia's sort of like, no, that's like, first of all, not your job. Second of all, maybe it's just not possible. Right. And
Yeah.
it's a great, that's a great book and it's a great
Yeah, I love that
sequence,
book.
but
Yeah.
it left me like, what? Like, wait, like, we got like, but you're gonna talk about that, right? And that book is just like way more about Poe. So that again, that's on me. But like, so once I got to sit down and do this, I was like, well, first of all, that conversation's happening. We're not gonna like. I just to me, this was a lot like ultimately. So a lot of the imagery that evolves, especially like what Picard looks like, and some of the things that turn up and that they fight later on is about like turning over rocks and seeing what like scuttles out, right?
Yeah.
And being fearless about being like, no, you're going to put these two people in a room together and you're going to have them have the talk. And it's going to be perhaps emotionally raw and brutal, but it has to happen. We can't flirt around this, right? So for Leia, she's like, something's up, right?
Yeah.
Rey's being weird and evasive, and she knows that this has kind of fallen to her of all people now to train the Last Jedi, despite having like a year total of actual on the job training. Well, a lot of which too was like, she was kind of a saber baddie. So I don't know that a ton of it was like, let's get in touch with our inner feelings.
Yeah.
And so she feels incredibly ill-equipped for this crucial job that has landed in her lap. And so her immediate thought is like, well, I did have that year with Luke. So like, I'll just cosplay as my brother. Like I'll dispense his wisdom. I'll like put on my Luke hat and I'll just like be Luke for her. And then she finds out what a fucking mess it was on Octo. And she's like, record scratch, like, maybe not. Maybe I should put my Luke hat on. Uh-oh, like, not a lot of options left, right? So it's really like, I really wanted to avoid her feeling like a perfect person in this. And like, someone who has all the answers all the time, like that she does have insecurities and she does have regrets and she does have curiosity about, how her life might have gone if she made different choices. And, I really hope we don't lose power. Lightning was really close. Just a warning.
You're good.
Yeah. So I mean, it's very epic feeling. You guys can't see it, but there's like a lightning storm and thunder outside my window. And I just was like, okay, we have to get her on it. She has to have an arc too. Leia has to have an arc too. It can't just be Rey having an arc. And so it's really her learning what she can do for Rey that is like ultimately indispensable. And that Luke perhaps was not the correct master for her in the end because he can't really offer her that like nurturing emotional satisfaction that Leia can, And then on the flip side of it, you have Leia who like never got to be a mom to an adult child. And she gets to have that experience finally with Rey. She gets to like be a mother to someone who is a fully formed person who desperately needs guidance and acceptance and validation.
Yeah, this is absolutely great stuff. And for me to see Leia have to kind of kind of realize she has things to learn. I love the way you're talking about the Luke hat. You got to find the Leia hat. She's
Yeah.
got decades of experience leading people, being in wars. The image of Leia that's always in my head is Hoth Leia telling Han to get out of here, bud. I'll take care of myself, and we're in the middle of all this, and that's one of the things I've loved about Leia for years. But yeah, to have these moments of like, all right, now who am I to this person, and who are they to me, and how can I be a better version of myself right now? That's powerful because Leia isn't an action figure. She is. I have some hanging on the wall, but she is a fully formed character. So I absolutely really enjoyed how you dealt with her doubt, and it wasn't one sided. The growth was on both sides.
Yeah, I try to resist at all possible turns the sense that these people are like larger than, like, I know they're myth to us, but they're not myth to themselves, right? They get up and they put their bra on one boob at a time, right? Like they live their lives. And that's something I'm always trying to bring to these IP projects is like, okay, but like what's going on like in their head? What's actually going on in there? Not just like, oh, I make the right choice at every turn and it's never a challenge and I'm never wrong. I'm never a coward and I'm never, like that's not interesting to me.
It's the power-ups. The power-ups that's not storytelling,
Yeah. And we know, and it's also, this is a book that it's like, I'm not going to lie. It's like, I had the benefit of knowing where these characters end up.
Yeah.
So give it like, to me, it's sort of like, we know what happens, guys. We know what happens.
Yeah.
So the only interesting thing left to do is enrich our understanding of these characters as like real people.
Lifting rocks and seeing what bugs scatter is also a great way to describe it. We're talking about lab, and on the other side of it, you have this, a
big bug.
a big bug. You have this, character who was a child in lost in nowhere land who had known of these myths, heard of these myths, discovers her place is literally at the top of the stairs in this myth, and from there other challenges come about of whether it be family, whether it be, hey, you might know your place in the story, but now you have to be afraid of your own instincts. Those dark sides of yourself could hurt the people that you love, and you haven't been around a lot of people that you love for a long time. As you said, you've been alone. But let's go back to Rey sitting in the Falcon with a broken lightsaber and being told, you have everything you need right here. You have everything you got. We have everything we got. But what the hell does that mean? Where's Rey coming out of Last Jedi into your story?
Yeah. Again, I was like, well, I'm just going to, I treat the movies like the text, right? What is the text telling me? The text is telling me she just had this deep, profoundly traumatic experience with like her first friend, crush, what
all of the like, above, enemy.
Yeah, like this, this really tortured relationship. We'll call it that, right? And it's in her mind, which is even more screwed up. And how is this happening? And everyone's told me, he's the worst dude to ever exist. But I feel a connection to him, and I sense there's like something else there.
Yeah.
And then, everything that happens with Luke is pretty intense, and he says some pretty nasty stuff to her. Ultimately, they end in a better place, but initially it's pretty fraught. Han was sort of her first employer, or non-toxic employer, I guess. Sorry, whatever your name is on Jakku.
Ukkar Plot. Let's give the toxic people their due. Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I slept like 3 hours, so some of the gulp shittos are not going to leap to mind.
Same.
Ukkar Plot. Like Han, great. Finally, I have a mentor, and he believes in me, and he's letting me fly the ship. And dead. And Luke dead, and also you're the Last Jedi. Also this like guy you're connecting with that's in your brain, not great.
Not the best.
Messiest situationship ending imaginable. And the lightsaber's broken and the crystal's screwed up, and like, but don't worry, you got everything you need.
You got everything you need.
So it's a little like great, but now what? And So, she's trying. She has the ancient Jedi secrets, as I like to call them, and she has those, and so she has a little bit of information about force healing, not a lot. The crystal seems resistant to sort of like normal tinkering and normal sort of just like, can we put her back together?
Yeah.
So she's trying genuinely with the force to fix the crystal, because she's a junker. She's fixed the lightsaber, technically the actual parts, a long time ago. That's not a problem. The problem is the crystal. And so she tries to fix it and makes it worse. Just sort of the inciting incident of the book, I would say, if you're using inside baseball terms, and kind of kicks off an existential crisis of her having a crisis of confidence, and Leia being the person there to be like, no, it's not. Nothing is ruined. Nothing is effed. We're gonna figure this out together.
Well, you told me I have everything I needed, and I just broke it.
She's like, I believed you, and now here we are. So it sort of kicks off this like quest, and I really wanted to get them away from the Resistance, because Rey has friends in the Resistance, and if she's feeling bad, she's just gonna go talk to them. And I needed her to be isolated with Leia. I needed her to have no choice but to rely upon this person. And so there are little pockets of the Resistance characters in this, but this book is not about them. It's about Rey and Leia primarily. So, and the theme that I'm exploring about them. And so all the other characters in this revolve around that same question. But yeah, so she's not in a great place. And then there, in the back of her mind, there's this like, oh, great. So now I'm like going on a road trip with this guy's mom. And I don't know what I feel about all of that. And I don't know what I feel about hanging out with her the whole time. Like, uh-oh. So right away, hopefully the reader has a sense that like, well, that conversation's looming. That's coming. That's a Chekhov's gun situation.
Absolutely.
And so that sort of is the source of why she's doing it in the first place. She can't heal the crystal herself. She thinks she's found a way to do it with this forge that she's discovered in the ancient texts, and off they go to Tython.
Off they go. Yeah, as you're talking, you just trying to put myself into Rey's position at that time. She's already doing some great things. She's already kind of like getting off the sand and experiencing the world, but it's in this horrible circumstances. People around her are going. She's learning to make connections in a way, but also one of the things I'm picking up when you're talking about it is like she doesn't hear a lot of the stuff, if at all, that Luke's saying at the end of Last Jedi. And I will not be the last Jedi. It's not like it's piped into her earphones, her earbuds.
Nope.
So she's finding herself sitting there with Leia, someone she spent less time with, and that's emotionally confusing, to say it nicely, for someone who is a bit of a, I won't say chosen one in the Star Wars canon sense, but just like the Force found me. Why the hell am I here? And I don't really know what that means. And the one person that might have been able to say more is now dead, and you might find a way to communicate with him later, but you might not even know that. She's sitting there completely lost.
Yeah, it's like I accidentally became important at my job kind of feeling. You're just like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
It's like getting handed this book. You're like, I'm doing what?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm promoted? Do I have to?
That won't be any pressure.
Yeah. I have to start a Jedi school too? What is that? Do I have to get licensing? Yeah. What do I do with that? I do, and we do the other great characters in the book, like Griv and Ziff, but Meepka is a character we will talk about here shortly, but I just want to let people know, if you're coming here for Meepka talk, we're going to get to it. As non-spoiler.
Hang on. If you're in line for Meepka, she'll get to you in 7 years.
So,
she'll get to you when she gets to you, and you're going to like it.
What do you think this character of Rey, and I'm jumping around maybe even beyond your story and just kind of this era, now that you've spent a lot of time with Rey now, post some big revelations with knowledge she picks up, experiences even in this story, but going forward, we are in an era where we definitely hope here at ForceCenter that we get more Rey stories post Episode 9, that we get to see what a new Jedi Order might be with her potentially at the center of it. what does Rey represent in your mind? How does she represent the Jedi in this era of the saga?
That's interesting. Um,
Like, you know, let's just say that, like, if she's reforming things,
mm-hmm.
the big thing hanging around, especially our Force Center community, is like, she's definitely learned some of the mistakes of the Jedi Order.
Sure. Yeah, I do treat with this a little bit in the book. I do
Mm-hmm.
try to give her sort of like, okay, you have these texts, you
Mm-hmm.
have so that's like one stream. You have Luke's teaching, brief teaching, yeah, that's another stream. You have what Leia's taught you, which is another stream. You have these Old Republic era Old Republic era
Yes,
Jedi. What
yes, they
their
are
inter-
there.
yes, what their interpretation of the Jedi's place is.
Yeah,
You have another conversation that I'm not going to talk about.
yeah,
That's another stream or
yeah.
thread. Maybe threads is a better analogy. And now you have all of these, to bundle together and like braid or not braid together. And ultimately, what I think I try to suggest is like, okay, all of this is great, but it has to involve the larger galaxy and community. Like,
Mm, mm-hmm.
there's sort of a moment where Leia also kind of turns to the camera. It's like,
Yeah,
oh, she's like figured out that like this organization can't exist in a vacuum. It has to interface with
right.
community. It has to take into
Yeah.
account, like, if you're going to be Team
Mm-hmm.
America World Police, you better
Yeah,
like take into account the rest of the world. You better
yeah.
like actually think about the people that you are like,
Mm-hmm.
the guardians of or the wardens of, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that the problems occur when you remove the
Yeah,
Jedi from the core function of like protecting the galaxy, right? And the
yeah.
galaxy is the important part.
No, you're speaking truths that we love celebrating here. We have a thing around here that Joseph started called Justice for the Jedi, where we feel sometimes there's some misunderstanding of even what George was saying of the Jedi in the prequel era, that it's not about they got to go and tear it all down. It's just the intention of the organization has long been lost. We're not saying the Jedi got to go. We're just saying you got to reevaluate how you're approaching this. And then that story plays out in the prequels, and I'm just excited. And I think why I'm discussing this and bringing this up, but I'm not here to put you on the hot seat of like, how will Rey lead the Jedi in the future?
I don't know. That's not up to me.
Not up to you, but I just think spending time with Rey in this moment, I'm thinking like this. We're watching her learn the emotional scaffolding, like you've said about the character, but also just of what being a Jedi as she carries that forward will mean to her. And I'm just fascinated with watching her kind of pick up these key bits of knowledge, but also, moving it forward in a new way. She's truly part of the new generation,
Yeah,
whether
and I
she knows
think
it or not.
I mean I'm so confused by like this sort of like the Jedi are bad too. Like I think maybe it's like have we as a species figured out justice? Like have
Yes.
we nailed this at all ever? Have we
Hmm.
ever gotten it right of the balance of like police versus
Yeah.
like community?
Yeah.
Like I mean maybe some Scandinavian countries are like getting close or something. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like this
Yeah.
is the fundamental problem I think a lot of times with these fandom questions is like
Hmm.
I think you're asking the wrong question. The interesting part is watching people grapple with what does it
Yes.
mean to be protectors? What is your actual function? Where does it stop? How do you make that decision?
Hmm.
What does punishment look like in this scenario,
Yeah.
right? Like these are philosophical questions that we have not answered and we are making the
Yeah.
fan content. So
Yeah.
like the answer is in the question. It's that there is no answer. It's like fascinating to see what people's
Hmm.
interpretation is. What will Rey do with all of these experiences she's had now that she's talked to all these impossibly important people and
Hmm.
gotten their perspective? Like, cool. What is she gonna say? Like, that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm like,
Yeah.
you
Not,
know.
No,
That's the meal. That's what you want. I don't think
yes.
you want facts and information. I think you want questions and watching interesting people grapple with interesting questions.
Yeah, we got to stay on point with your book, but I think we could talk another hour of just like how a lot of these stories, pop culture is taken in these days, and I've been on shows and part of things in the past that I think maybe set people up for taking these in the wrong way. It is an information dump. It isn't just checking boxes. And
Right, like, did we need the prison detour in Andor? No, it doesn't. Like, we know, okay, the Empire used prison labor. That's the thing we learn. Okay, which of course they do. Of course they do. That's like an obvious extrapolation. I mean, if you think about this shit seriously ever in your life for 5 seconds, of course they use prison labor. Why wouldn't they? They're like a fascist state. So like, there's you're not learning anything new, really, but it's riveting because it's about people waking up to like what's actually right. Like, so much of Andor is not actually telling you anything new about the rebellion. If you really stop and think about it, so much of that show is not telling you new information. It's just showing you interesting people in the scenario around the information. And that's why it's good.
Absolutely, and the whole like we don't need this, we know what happens to the character kind of thing is frustrating to us. It's like with your story here, yeah, we know where these characters are going in the next movie, but how they got there, the steps they took, the
how and the why is way more compelling, I promise you, than a list of events.
Yeah, and that was to me is one of the victories of your book is you're watching these two characters. Both are I'd say legends right now in terms of just characters in the real world, but like these are iconic characters who are sitting there going, "What the hell?" That is fascinating to me. That's what I want. I don't want the back of an action figure card.
Yeah, me too. I mean, and the thing is, like, look, we all interface with this stuff differently, and I understand if you wanted like more lore dumps about this year. It's also that to me, it's like there's not a lot of time here, guys. I got to have Kylo Ren for 5 minutes because there's so much crap going on. He has a whole comic run and like you know, like that's all happening. If you want to know all of that, it's out there. Yeah. And I'm really like, I mean, there's really only a year between the two tent pole events, so a few months that I carved out. It's like, and I also get frustrated when it's like every minute of every day of these people's lives is packed with some kind of like epic showdown. It's like world-ending crises, but no one ever has emotional problems. Like, please, I get so tired of that personally. I want things to slow down sometimes. I think it's necessary.
Absolutely is necessary. And also, I'm laughing that this whole thing is just a red carpet, and you're trying to get Kylo Ren's attention for one question. Like, Kylo,
essentially,
over here.
God, when I finally got to write in his voice, I was like, unleash me. Here we go, dog. I've been waiting for this. Like, give me a Hux book. Someone give me a Hux book because I love writing. Like, I mean, Brilla is sort of like, I couldn't have it, so I had her instead. But she's sort of my. I love writing a rotten son of a gun. Yeah,
that's good. Yeah, Major Brillo Wolstenholme, right? Am I saying that right?
Wolstenholme, yeah.
Wolstenholme. All right, that's good.
Do you want to talk about her? No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You know what? I had a question.
She's like the third major character.
We're gonna get to a question, about this Leia character, but she's had her time.
Let's talk about
this.
If you have a system.
No, I don't have a. I don't have a. I like freeform interviews as best as possible. But yeah, you do have this character that is in the First Order. That is you just.
She's the controversial edition. I knew she would be. I knew she would be. I knew people would be like,
"In what way?" In what way? What way were you
why do we spend so much time with her? Why? And to me, it's evident on its face. But like, Rey is this. Her and Rey have very similar things going on psychologically. but the difference is who they end up spending time with and who they choose to spend time with and how willing they are to grapple with those dark parts of themselves, and then the conclusions they draw from those darker parts about
Mm.
themselves. And so she is there to be sort of a mirror. I
Yeah.
mean, she also has a storyline, obviously things are happening,
Yeah.
but like she
Mm.
doesn't have the outcome Rey has because she doesn't have Leia. Like
Right.
that's important, right? There's like the
Yeah.
contrast is important to me. And I
That's
think we
great.
just don't have a lot. We don't spend a lot of time with First Order characters really in the sort of expanded media for
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah.
era. So
Yeah. I still want my Ray Sloan story somewhere out there in the unknown
she gets a
regions.
shout out in this book.
She does. She does. Oh, I have a big board of Ray Sloan shout outs and appearances that
It's
I've
like
kept since 2014.
check.
No, I think that's a great. I think that's a great way, a great explanation of this character, Brilla, and the intentionality in just this character being there. It could sure it could in a book that's about Rhea. I said Rhea.
The amount of times I've said that is
Kind of Ray and Leia. The story. This is their story. They're on the GD cover. I get it, but you know, it's not just you have to turn somewhere else. It's like again the how and the why of why this character exists, and I think it's important to have a mirror, kind of a mirror journey for Ray.
I don't really build a book around information. I build it
Yeah,
around theme. And so
yeah,
once we figured out what the book was actually about and what we're trying to say, then you're building characters out that contribute to the theme, not
yeah,
to
yes.
dispensing information.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's why we dance with themes here at Force Center because it will, I think just expand. I always say expand enjoyment of the stories, especially in something that's Star Wars, where for years and years and years, when someone's like, "Oh, you like Star Wars," it seems to be about bar trivia, and that's fun. I've
It's actually
I've
quite
won
funny.
some Star Wars trivia championships in my
Hey,
life, but until Sam Witwer stole it from me. But yeah, like, and I'm there too. I love all that stuff, but I've forgotten a lot of that these days because I love being moved by all aspects of stories and characters, even those the ones that don't, on the surface aren't necessarily for me, which I've been, let's be clear, super blessed in my time, a privilege, I should say, not blessed, privilege to just have every character almost crafted to look and feel like me. That's why the importance of representation is not just a throwaway thing here. So I'll say that, but like to be able to learn from the big whys and the big questions of these characters, and I think you have a lot of characters here on Tython going through some things, and it's not just needed. It was, I think, a key part of your story.
yeah, it's like would I love every single minute of this book to just be Ray and Leia talking? I just did it. Ray, Ray and
See,
Leia, Leia and Rhea. That's what I keep saying. Ray
Land
and
Ray.
Leia talking. Yes, yes. I could have
Yeah.
written two
My
hundred
dinner with
thousand
Andre.
words.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my dinner with
I could have
Andre.
just made it a stage play.
Yeah,
TBH. I would have been totally
idea.
fine with that. But
Yeah,
the fact is, like, that's not really the brief, and
yeah,
it's also just like there comes a point where it's uh like
yeah,
again Leia has limited knowledge of like that is also a constraint of this story, is that
yeah.
she doesn't have a lot of Jedi wisdom to dispense, so
Mm-mm.
you have to find other things for this book to be about. And
Yeah.
so
Uh, well, one of the things it is about is this character we've mentioned, a little Chandra fan named Meepka. It's about all I want to say,
my
but
baby
Meepka's kind of
girl,
a scene stealer. Take
my
us through your
baby
creation of
girl.
Meepka.
So I have this theory that Star Wars is like a soup, and there are specific ingredients that have to be present, and one of those
Mm.
ingredients is a little guy.
Yeah.
Star
Yes.
Wars stories need a little guy, and a lot of this book is adults with big feelings, and I
Mm-hmm.
wanted a character who could be not just comic relief, but also remind these adults with big feelings of their like kind of inner child, and sort of the the time in your life where you're not so much thinking and you're not so much overthinking. You're just kind of doing, and you're just impulsive, and you're just living your life, and you don't stop to sort of question yourself all the time. And so she is that energy in this book of sort of like, she has no filter. She has she's in go mode 100% of the time. She's precocious and curious. She knows that she's that girl, and she's she's gonna tell you about it.
She's that girl. Yeah,
she's that girl. Yeah, she is my deepest love. I don't know. I had so much fun coming up with her mannerisms, and her backstory is quite funny. And I don't know why, I felt so drawn to somehow having a reference to the cruise.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess this is not the ill-fated Disney cruise hotel, but you know, there are star cruisers that are just for pleasure out there. And so I wanted to tie that in, and she ties to one of those ultimately. But and then I think too, it's like, you can't kill, spoiler alert, Rey and Leia don't die. So you're kind of, your hands are tied in terms of introducing danger and tension to the scenario. So what better than to introduce some characters that you really, really don't want to see get hurt. And then you get Mipka. So she's, around, and she's in danger, but her outcome is not determined. So,
Yeah. You gotta protect the Mipka. I want to see the Mipka.
The baby girl.
Breakout star.
She was a breakout star. That is the one character I will be heartbroken if she never comes back.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well,
I put a few toys back in the box for them, but if Mipka never returns, I'll be pretty crestfallen. I won't lie.
All right, let's track it. Let's put it. But I think once everyone gets their hands on, once they get their hands on the book, we'll start a Mipka grassroots campaign. I would love that. Looking a little bit back at Leia, I apologize.
We can talk about her. That's fine.
We can talk about Leia. Okay.
Whatever.
I mentioned it. It's not just me throwing flowers down in front of you, but you deserve it. I absolutely adore the story Eclipse, which is again from the New Hope Certain Point of View book, which came out now so long ago. It's crazy. Time flies. It's breathtakingly sad, but it's also full of love and hope and also fear. And it's the final moments of Brea and Bail Organa. And man, I will say to you, like I've said it on the show, but I'll say it directly to you. Like I to this day, if I watch A New Hope and the destruction of Alderaan, which was, that's a good trivia answer, a good moment in the film. Like, I see it through the eyes of this story now, every time.
Yeah, I do too.
It's in brain.
I got really emotional seeing him in Andor this second season, especially like knowing I was doing this. It just shatters me every time I see him. I'm like, I'm so sorry.
So sorry. I'm sorry. Well, at the time we got to spend with Brea in the Kenobi series and all this stuff, but was there, and this is just maybe a nuts and bolts writing thing. You got to really know Brea and Bail during these final moments of your life. You spent some time with them. Did you pull any of your understanding of those characters and how they may have raised Leia into writing Leia at this point in her life? I'm just maybe because I'm just a fan of the short story. Did you think of that short story at all when writing Leia?
Of course I thought about it. I will say, I think the most that it impacted this process was that it does help to know that you've done it. Like, it's very intimidating, if you can believe it, to open a blank Word document and it's like, page 1, Leia, like, what? And obviously since then I have written books with some pretty iconic people. I mean, I would also say a shout out. I mean, it's also Penguin Random House Worlds or Random House Worlds that did the Loki book with me.
Yeah.
So, and that was sort of like chapter 1, Thor, chapter 2, Loki, chapter 3, Tony Stark, chapter 4, right. Odin. Like, you know, you're just sort of like, well, I better get over this. I better get over the stage fright fast because every single character in this is an icon. So that was helpful. Mm-hmm. That was helpful. Okay. And then having written Eclipse, being like, well, I'll survive this.
They won't, but I will. I did.
Yeah, some people are not going to make it out alive of this book either, but no, it does. It sort of gives you you can like hold it in your hand and be like, I have written for Star Wars. Like, it has happened before, it can happen again. And it just sort of gives you that like nudge of confidence that you need to get going.
You were talking. Let's just have a straight up kind of mental health conversation. You were talking about positive evidence that is often in opposition of the things we tell ourselves, and often in our daily lives with that, whatever you're trying to accomplish out there in your life. To those who are listening, you might have the imposter syndrome stuff, the I can't do it, and you can provide yourself a lot of evidence. Those evidence pieces might be lies, but there's in your life there's actual pieces of evidence of not just pats on the back, you did it, but like, no, you know how to do this. And don't overlook that. Don't ignore that. Draw from that. That's to me what you're describing right there.
Positive I mean, Carrie's own iconic words, right? Be afraid, do it anyway. Or be scared, do it anyway. Either way, same sentiment, right? Like, okay, you're terrified. What? Like, good. Most people are, good. Yeah. I mean, I will say it was scary in the sense of like, I knew this book was not going to be for everyone. I knew that there would be some like concerns about how much lore or information or whatever about this time period is communicated. I knew that, right? I'm not an idiot. I know I'm aware of the Star Wars fandom. I can read Reddit. I understand, right? So I knew that this was going to be not for everybody. And I knew that, okay, it's 2 women on the cover. It's 3 female POVs primarily. Like, God bless you, Gav, holding it down for the gentleman.
Finally, I can see myself through someone in Star Wars. Thanks, Gav.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because, he's also like, I felt really strongly about, I mean, I know we're sidebarring, but like, I felt really strongly about portraying a rebel who is like, actually, I do not like the shooting.
Yeah.
I do not. Yeah. I'm not cut out for this. Like, this is scary. I don't want to die. And that, like, in this moment in time, that there are a lot of people who are like, I don't want to put my ass on the front lines of fighting fascism, but that there is a place for everybody in the rebellion. Sometimes it is creating counter propaganda. Sometimes it is, supporting your local mutual aid orgs or whatever, right? Like, there is a way to do this that doesn't involve picking up a blaster. And so I wanted to sort of like, a lot of times you get the inverse, right? Which is like, oh, I'm a peaceful teacher. But now I've learned to be a hardened badass on the front lines. And he like has the opposite journey where he's like, being the hardened badass on the front lines is not for me.
Not natural.
No, thank you. Hard pass. I did it. It sucked. I almost died. And I mean, he really had a rough go. He really saw the devil. So like, for real. He did. And so to have him sort of come to this journey, which I still think is like wholesomely portrayed in a sense of like, he is a well-rounded person. He just comes to the conclusion he can still serve the rebellion, but in a different capacity. Yeah. I don't actually remember what I was talking about. It was about Leia. Be afraid, do it anyway. Yeah, it was do it anyway. But yeah, so it's like the pressure. So knowing all of that, there was a point. This is a very surreal time right now because I existed in a world for almost 2 years where nobody knew this was happening. Right. And I wrote it for no one. I was like, no one's going to see it. I was like, no one's going to know. No one's going to know. Just write it.
Just do it.
Just do it. And I had to do that. I had to like pretend like this book just existed for my eyes only to sort
Yeah.
of remove the terror of, you know, fan reaction, perception. I know how much I love it, and so it can be very hard to like get criticism about it.
Sure.
But yeah, so it's very odd now. To like, oh right, that's actually people are going to see it.
That's the thing. Yeah, this is on my shelf now.
You've got it. It's in your hot little hands. Yeah.
I have other books with your name on my shelf, but this one prominent. Yeah. Well, you're kind of getting to the kind of final section of my discussion, and it's just kind of the daunting task that it is to write any novel, any story. Let's be clear, but we're talking about Star Wars. We're talking about something that, as you said up top, was in your life from early on, and there, you know, again without specifics, there's certain kind of characters and interactions, and even some revelations here that I think are big, and they're big in a you know.
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about some of the much scarier people.
Yeah, I want folks to dive in and take it, but and they're fun and they're important to the larger Star Wars story. But we love discussing the big why. So just in putting together this book, you know, getting into the minds of Leia and Rey, having these big moments, finding the why for these moments, not just going. I mean, every idea starts with a hey, what if this happened? But discovering the why. But above all of this is the holy bleep. I'm writing Star Wars on this level. I just wanted to ask about your approach. Though you mentioned jokingly your first words, but I personally can't imagine sitting. I've written a book about Star Wars. I have not written a Star Wars book. Yeah. I just can't imagine. So I want to talk about the actual process here in the final section and the big whys of these moments.
Like process in what sense? Like how I was brought on, or just how I approached it?
No, just like how you approach it. Like how to you know. I'm not talking about. I guess you could say what's on your note cards, the index cards. But when you get an idea of like, hey, so I think so and so should show up. Yeah. You know, what? How do you find that why?
Yeah, I think, you know, like I said, you know, you're sort of handed like here you go. Here are the things you're allowed to talk about. Here are the people you're allowed to use because they are available just in the timeline.
So funny.
Here is like what has to be in it. And so you've kind of got this like little pile of rocks, you know, and then you're like, okay, this is a nice pile of rocks, but it doesn't really mean anything. It's just stuff. And then you're sort of like, and then again, I'm just like, okay, the text. What happens immediately before this? What happens immediately after this? You know, so Rebecca's book is like right before this. And obviously The Last Jedi is right before this. So, and honestly, The Force Awakens, because they happen like, you know, there's no pause. And
it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're just sort of looking like, okay, well, I've got these two characters. They have to be the core of this. And yes, I have these events that have to transpire. And honestly, it was the thing that kicked it off was like, okay, they have to repair the lightsaber. The lightsaber's fixed, more or less, but the crystal is not. And the fractured crystal has to sort of be like, that's what started it. Was like the first line I actually came up with. Like I sat for like 3 days.
Wow.
Reworking the first sentence because I was like, it has to tell you what the book is. I have this strong feeling that the first sentence of the book should basically spoil the end of the book.
I'm gonna go to it right now here. Oh yeah, you nailed it.
And I was like, this has to bang. This sentence has to bang. It has to be one of the best sentences I've ever written in my life. It has to be simple, and it has to tell you exactly what this book is going to be about. So that is like the start. And then you're like, okay, what if the crystal's more broken as a result of her attempts because she's in such like her state of mind has to be one with crystal, right? If the book is about healing the crystal, that's just a thing. That's an object. Yeah. So instead it has to be Rey healing herself through healing the crystal. That has to be the right. So then you're like, that's like sort of that's the seed of the book. Yeah. And then you're like, and then I just approach it truly like, you know, yarn pinboard. Like, okay, given that, what crucible do we have to put her through? and what are we saying about her mental state by the end of it, right? Like, what does healing look like? You can say, oh, you're healed. Like, that is meaningless. Like,
or hey, look, I did it. I built the lightsaber.
Yeah, right.
Wait, what does that mean?
Right. So, like, the emotional sort of crescendo has to fit with the physical healing of the crystal, right? Those things need to boop. And so they have to, in the timeline, happen very close to each other, if not in the same moment. But then, okay, how do we build, what has to come in between? And it can't be a smooth path, right? Okay, we've got Leia, and they like don't super know each other. There's this tension about, you know, Rey needing a mentor and Ben. So that, you know, like, you're just sort of building in these, like, you need obstacles, and obviously you need locations, and Tython, I genuinely, it was like, I don't know. It was like, I've always loved it. It's like, you know, it's one of the starter planets in Star Wars: The Old Republic, so I spent a lifetime there. And now it's like come into the larger conversation. It's in Adam Christopher's book. It's in Mando Grogu, right? Like, we've seen it a few times now. And I've
literally hiked it. So,
and you've hiked it. But like, my visual experience of Tython is not that. It's from the video games where so we're in the northern hemisphere, y'all. There's mountains. We're not in the California part.
You're not in the Simi Valley part of Tython?
No, you're in the Canada part. You're in the Pacific Northwest Canada part. And yeah, so, you know, it's like, that felt right. And honestly, one of the things, because once this starts happening, right, once you're like, okay, we've got the like huge picture, then you just start tearing through every piece of media looking for like connections, right? And it was actually in I think it's the Dr. Aphra comics, they go, and the martyrium of frozen tears is in the polar ice cap of Tython. And I was like, that sounds diggity dope. There's gotta be other crap like this on Tython. So let's light this sucker up, right? Let's like put something. And I was like, what if the Jedi this is like how I work. This is the mind.
The beacons of Tython are lit. The beacons of Tython are lit.
This is the mind of a mad woman putting the book together. This is ADHD in action. So then it's like, okay, we're going to have this cool hidden Jedi structure where she's going to have to find the clues to get there. But what if it's not what it seems, right? Because she's so fixated on, I need something to fix this crystal. I need something to fix this crystal, that she's not like stopping to ask the right questions about it. She's so, this is also, there was a different version of this book that was like, had parts. It was like part 1, 2, 3. And they were all named after a different Jedi parable that you get from the Old Republic teachers. And they all, some of those parables actually just tell you the plot. If you pay attention, they tell you Brilla's storyline. One of them does. So I loved the idea of this, like, it's still in there, that particular parable about sort of like, you're wounded and all you can ask is like, wait, is it still around? Is it going to kill me? Instead of like, we have to get the poison out. That you're so distracted on you're so fixated on this thing that hurt you and vengeance and like, I'm being attacked, rather than what's going on inside. And so she makes that same mistake too, of sort of like externalizing all of her problems. Like, I gotta fix the crystal. We find this Jedi temple. That's it. We're done. It's great. Instead of realizing, hey, maybe this like tortured state you're in is the real problem and why you can't fix the crystal. So so then it's like, what if the Jedi had a rehab facility for doubters and haters?
No, that's very effective.
What if the doubters and haters got sent to Tython, and then Master of Re-Ravenel, my guy, is there to set them straight, or try, and sometimes not do a very good job.
No, all that was fascinating. No, first of all, I asked, I combined about 3 of my questions into one.
That's how that got written.
I love that now we have you as Charlie Day meme doing all the strings of everything.
That's what those drafts looked like. I'll tell you what.
I mean, look, I love also the start of this of, you know, they give you a pile of rocks and, you know, like they're checking the schedule of all the characters. This person's free. Yeah, you got them for 5 minutes. And that's that's great. That's a great starting point. But without the why, we ain't here talking about it. So
Yeah, and you find out like, oh, so I don't get a lot of rocks.
I get 2 big rocks.
She got like 30 rocks. Yeah. I have 5. Like, what is that? What? So then you're like, okay, I guess we're making rock soup with 5 rocks.
And you made your own rocks with me. You've got other characters.
Yeah, and that's it. Then you're like, okay, well, you can't have rock soup with 5 rocks, so we gotta get some new rocks going. So we get Meepka rock, we get Gav rock, we get
Yeah, absolutely. Look, this book comes out July 28th. If you're watching this now, you might be watching this years in the future. Pick up this book. I consider this essential reading for the characters of Rey and Leia between 8 and 9, but also what they both carry forward. And obviously Leia, the character we know she passes in 9, but Rey's going on, whether we see that or not. And I do believe we will. But this book really, as Maddie described, is the emotional scaffolding between 2 big tentpole moments in these characters' lives, not just the Star Wars story. So with that said, Maddie, I do have one final question of, holy bleep, you wrote a Star Wars novel. How cool is that?
It's pretty cool. I thought I would be more, number one, I thought I would be more defensive about people who don't like it. And number 2, I thought I would be more nervous, but I feel really strongly about what we did. I feel really proud. Mm-hmm. I know I did my best with what I was provided. And I know that if you like Leia and Rey and you care about their emotional landscape and who they are, this book will work for you. And I think, if you have like a maybe tortured relationship with the sequels, like you want to love them or you love them, but you understand that there are some flaws, I think this will be for you. I think, and that's like what I wanted. Like one of the things I kept telling myself was like, don't write this book for the haters. Don't write this book scared, number 1. Because that's what'll happen, right? If you're like trying to explain to people why they should like the sequels, you're going to write a bad book. So write it for the people who love these 2 characters. That is your job. Your job is to write this book for the people who love these 2 characters and want more time with them, especially with Leia. And that's the goal. That's the brief. Don't worry about everyone who already is predisposed to hate this book, because they're not, number 1, they're not going to read it anyway. They're going to find the Cliff Notes and figure out a way to hate it. So you can't write for those people. You have to write for the people who are excited for Star Wars and who love Star Wars. And that is what I tried to keep top of mind. And that is a very cool experience.
Wow, that's great. You also are explaining how to be a good stand-up comic, because the nights that I take the stage afraid of the audience and try to give them what I think they want, it's not a good set. It's not a good set.
Yeah. That's a hard thing to hit too. I find Star Wars so funny that like I really didn't want it to not be a funny book in certain parts. I know that it's like, again, it's a big feelings book. So sometimes it was like, okay, we got to like rein this in a little bit.
Right.
But I find Leia so funny. And I thought it was very funny to sort of have her be like, she has these like recurring dreams, and in them she encounters Hux and she kind of just like roasts him to his face. And I love the idea that Poe is like, had like heard her do that at some point and was like, heard her talking shit about people and was like, man, she's good at that. I'm going to do that.
It's one of our weapons here in the Resistance. That's amazing.
Oh, our cutting wit is certainly one of our,
absolutely.
So this, again, if you like these two characters and you want to spend some time with them, and you like I had a very flattering note from somebody, which is like, this feels like a really cool Star Wars D&D adventure. And I was like, sick. Yes, thank you.
Awesome. That
makes a lot of sense, because I have played a lot of D&D and I have run a Star Wars 5e campaign as a dungeon master. So
ooh, that's great. Well, no, I think you absolutely did a wonderful job, and yes, I am in the acknowledgments, but
yes, you are.
I really I enjoy your writing style. And there's so many other stories out there that you have that I hope people check out. So if you are unfamiliar with Madeleine's work, links down below. If you're watching on YouTube, seek it out. Look, I told you we might do 30 minutes. You're in a rainstorm, a lightning storm. Here we are, almost an hour 20. Thank you for your time. Any final words? Where can they find your work? And where are you and I going to get our drinks at Comic-Con?
God, I don't know. Haven't been in so long. I'm gonna need guidance.
Same.
Yeah. You can find me on. I'm really not on a ton of social media anymore. I'm really mostly on Instagram and Blue Sky. So you can find me there at Author Roux, AUTHOROUX, and I have a website, www.madeleine-roux.com. I don't update it a ton, but and my books are everywhere.
Yeah.
Sold everywhere. We are fine purveyor. Please shop local. I'm just I just feel so lucky and so privileged to get to put words in the mouths of these people, some of whom I'm still kind of pinching myself that happened. And I also really want to shout out Mike Chen, who is a Star Wars author. He has been so supportive during this process because obviously it was very intimidating. He also did a book in that Marvel series that I did. And so I met him through that. And he has just been such an incredible support system through this. So just want to give credit where credit's due. And obviously the editing staff that I had were so wonderful. And
We love it. Yeah, Mike Chen's Brotherhood's a book we love around here too. So check that out. All right, Maddie, that's it. I'll let you go. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here at ForceCenter. We'll see you all next time.